Thank you very much, Dr. Satyajit, and to all the panelists here. I think this is a very timely and a very apt topic for this year's conference, because we have seen two, COVID waves, one after the other, and probably many more to come. So I think glaucoma is probably already a problematic thing, and along with the COVID situation, it's a double whammy. So actually, glaucoma is as such a sight-threatening problem. It requires a very constant follow-up, a very good compliance, and very importantly, we need to take the timely decision when the patient comes, whether it's medication, many more medications, or a surgery, or a combination. So we need to really have the patient on time every time. So this COVID has disrupted this patient-doctor, what I should say, coordination, and this has created a great deal of problems. I think when you ask these patients of glaucoma who come with really exacerbated problems, the phobia, the old people do not come out, they don't even walk. They don't even go out of the house. And very importantly, logistics. There's no conveyance to come. The buses are not working. The private things are not happening. And many a time the caretakers are busy in other more important things. There's already priorities. They have their own problems. There are, the commerce has been hit very badly. So there are many things that really puts a glaucoma treatment as a last priority when there's an existential crisis like COVID. I think that is very important. What are the things that you normally see in these situations? The patients develop lens-induced glaucoma. You have seen many, the previous speakers also have alluded to this. The cataract matures, hypermatures, become intumescent, develops lens-induced glaucoma, both phacomorphic, phacolytic, and other varieties, most often phacomorphic. And the second thing is the patient normally are not able to buy access glaucoma drugs, or not able to buy it for various reasons. So the glaucoma really becomes uncontrolled. They lose vision and very short time, especially very bad glaucomas like pseudo-exfoliation glaucomas and high pressure glaucomas really go out of control. And there are many patients of the posterior segment pathology like central lateral vein occlusions, proliferative diabetic retinopathy. The diabetes is a scourge again, as told by Dr. Arun Kshetrapal. An ocular ischemic syndrome patient, they develop NVG, neovascular glaucoma. They don't even come to the hospital and stay there. And many of them in this last 6 or 8 months or 1 year, there are many patients who they appear in the horizon of glaucoma patients. They don't get treatment at all. So these are the things which really, add to our kitty. I just want to start with a patient who came with a cataract lasting for more than a year, did not come, but he came with a raised IOP of 40 within 3 days. Luckily, we could control it was a phacomorphic glaucoma to start with. So with the early inflammation and just an initial rise in the intraocular pressure, we could, control the pressures. And in this case, we decided just to remove the cataract, because this is one rare situation where the phacomorphic glaucoma patient has come early. We have managed to control the intraocular pressure and the inflammation. Well, the pupil doesn't dilate well, but nevertheless, this swollen lens had to be taken off. And whenever we do this procedure, we can also probably do an additional goniosynechrolysis, or even with a viscogoniosynecholysis. Just try to put in a good quality viscoelastic at the angle, so that whatever little peripheral anterior seneca which is beginning to form kind of opens it up. I have a surgical gonioscope where I do it under supervision. Well, this is a cataract which has really hardened. It's a small pupil. Maybe I'm just taking my calculated risks. Maybe it's worthwhile to probably put in a pupil expander. We can put a ring or a hook so that you get a better idea. If the patient is diabetic, and if you want to really do a large rexis, as Dr. Arun Kshetrapal said, maybe it's a good idea to put some pupil expansion devices. So the hard cataract, we are trying to make it into smaller pieces, and this pupil is the problem here. So otherwise, we'll be able to kind of do it in much more convenience. So with this, we'll be able to mobilize each piece, cataract which has really hardened due to the COVID delay, and finally, we'll be able to take care of this. So once we remove the cataract, as I said, we're kind of to open up the angle, especially the peripheral anterior chamber has to be opened up with a good quality viscoelastic before IA, so that it kind of tries to make up for whatever the peripheral anterior synechia, and the post-operative IOP spike can be taken care. But nevertheless, this this patient will have an IOP spikes because we have not added a glaucoma surgery to this, and it would take several days for it to normalize, the intraocular pressure to normalize. So a second patient is a classical nightmarish phacomorphic glaucoma. Patient comes with all the symptoms of headache, nausea, pain. The pain is so severe that the patient has to be dragged on, has to come to us. And many a times the surgery has been already more than 10 days, so that we decide to actually do a surgery of a combined phacotrabeculectomy. So I'm doing a rectangular flap. And now this surgery, so I'm just doing a flap, and normally I do a single port procedure where under the same rectangular flap, I open the clear corneal incision, so that, and you can see that typical swollen lens, and getting a rhexis is also a problem here. So I'm just getting through the clear cornea with the thing and trying to aspirate the center. So without bending the needle, I'm going there inside and trying to suck and trying to decompress and take away the intralenticular pressure. Once we do that, we're going to put some viscoat there and use the side port. And luckily we have very good fine instruments, titanium instrument, by which we can probably do a small rhexis. So getting a rhexis, especially if you are planning for a phacoemulsification, is very important. And once you do a small rhexis, you can decompress the lens. So I'm doing an IA, trying to decompress the lens and take away the swollen cortex so that it goes down. I can flatten the anterior capsule in a much better way, and trying to nick it up and give a nick and do a secondary rhexis. So this, makes the job of getting a rhexis much easier and preventing the peripheral straight hairs or a rhexis runoff. And especially in a swollen lens like this, it can really go to the posterior capsule. But this whole nucleus has been really waterlogged, and many a time it is much easier to, because they are very brittle lenses and they break very easily, and the removing the cataract may not be a very difficult thing with a good phacoemulsification machine. So once you do that, you complete your trabeculectomy and put an intraocular lens and complete your trabeculectomy. But at the same time, there are a lot of friends from our vitreoretina department also put a lot of silicone oil, and in fact, the retina department in any multi-speciality eye hospital keep the glaucoma surgeons busy. When they put the oil, and there is a silicone oil removal that is probably envisaged, the patient never comes back. And that leads to silicone oil induced glaucoma and also cataract at time. Now you can see this was a case of rhegmatogenous RD with a VR surgery at the silicone oil, and has been left for a long time. You can see the silicone oil emulsified in the eye and high pressure, as well as you can see the inflammation and cataract. So this needs to be taken care. So we are planning to do again a phacotrabeculectomy. So open it up, and now we can see that all the silicone oil globules are taken out, and there is a posterior synechia which needs to be removed. And this lens luckily is a much softer lens, and without any pupillary expansion devices, with the release of the posterior synechia, we are able to get a big enough here. Getting the rhexis size also very adequate is important, because the patient has a posterior segment problem. We cannot have a small rhexis in this case. It's a soft cataract, and getting rid of the cataract is much easier now. And this is where we continue to do the trabeculectomy. So we do a trabeculectomy and do a peripheral iridectomy, and then complete the surgery. So these are the completion of the single port or a single port phacotrabeculectomy. So that is the releasable, that is the adjustable suture that I normally put, and this is how it is. So, but many a times the closure of the trabeculectomy, whether you are doing for a patient who has come delayed for a cataract, for a glaucoma surgery, or because of a lens-induced glaucoma complication. So we need to see that many of them, because of the inflammation, the chances of failure are high, especially if the patient also has a treated NVG. So you need to kind of use your suturing techniques to your advantage. These are the adjustable sutures. I don't complete the suture. This is a flip, So these sutures hold the thing. If at all in the immediate post-op period, you can actually try to rub this area, manipulate this area with a cotton tip applicator so that one of these sutures try to loosen up, and with giving post-operative subconjunctival mitomycin or 5-fluorouracil, you can actually try to manage these blebs so that they don't fail. So instead of having a releasable suture in which the suture comes out through the cornea, many a times after pulling they may not really open up. This is a much safer technique, much easier. You can take multiple adjustable sutures and try to do it. Okay, so with this, so it's a very costly thing for the patients, this delay in presentation. And obviously it's a needless blindness and a needless expenditure for the patient. And many a times the patients are not to be blamed because of this particular pandemic situation. And I think with the future lockdowns, we don't know how many waves and how these things are going to affect. We need to kind of have a preparedness, especially with patients of glaucoma. Try to tell them, preempt them, try to get ready, and try to use a teleconsultation media or any kind of communication to these patients so that we avoid such problems in future. Thank you.